Can you really reduce stress via your feet? Well, I'm a terrific fan of reflexology. It's part of my stress management protocol. And today I'm talking to Siobhan Elliot, who is a reflexologist, and she will tell us a little bit more about it. But before I do that, I'm going to ask Siobhan what it is that stresses her out on a day-to-day basis.
I think what stresses me out is often other people and my dogs. The challenges that we're all living with at the moment, living in close quarters with other people and living in our household, can create tensions when we seem to have these other beings in our face rather and in our energy. So I've done some very good work on boundaries in the last few months.
Okay, so people might not understand what that means.
Sure.
So let's talk about what you mean by that in the context of your dogs and people.
So the boundaries are my personal rules to ensure that I'm happy and healthy and that I also get my needs met. And they are a balancing act always when we're working with different energies and different people and situations as well. And it's about preserving our happiness and health by setting out these rules. They're sort of intangible rules, perhaps. There's something a bit ephemeral about boundaries. And there are things which are non-negotiable for me. A great example being meal times and not being disturbed during meal times, not answering the door, not answering the phone. And so they're protections that we put in place for our own good, really, if that's an okay way to explain it.
Yeah. And, thinking about the space issue, just having some time just to yourself. So whether that's on your daily walk or just in your bedroom alone with a book or just some time where it's just you on your own, I think is very, very important as well. Especially if you're in a job as you are, where you're giving out all the time, you need just that time. Or if you're anything like me, you just need a little bit of time just to yourself, just so that you can recalibrate a little bit.
It's really important. Yeah, it's a reset. And as an introvert, I do need rest time and alone time, and I really value those.
Yeah, people get confused about introvert and extrovert. So, because you're very chatty, aren't you? You're a very sociable individual.
Yeah,
so you can be sociable and introvert. So introvert is really where do you get your energy? And so what you're saying, Siobhan, is getting your energy from solitude, and then you can be giving out. But if somebody's an extrovert in this context, they need company to re-energize. So this will be a very, very difficult time for them. But for you, just finding a little bit of solitary time is what's important for you.
It really is.
Yeah. Okay. So let us now talk about reflexology, one of my favorite things. So weird, but so wonderful, is it not?
It is weird. And Tricia, I've been doing this since 2003.
Yeah.
And I first had reflexology in 1999 when I was having serious health problems. And I had it in the hospital. And there is nothing like experiencing something for yourself and switching off the thinking mind and just allowing and accepting how it is for us and what our experience is. So that was my first exposure to it. And I did think it was weird. And I still think it's a bit weird. And I don't fully understand, because we talk about energy. We don't always understand how these things work. Yeah. And yet we know they do work.
Exactly. And can you tell people what reflexology is, just in case they don't know? I gave them a clue by saying feet, but that's not, it's more than just feet, isn't it?
Yeah, feet is where it began. It started by working on the feet, and there was a lot of research and experimentation done, including by doctors in America, working on reflexology. And I do believe there is a close connection with the meridian theory in Chinese medicine and acupuncture and acupressure. So it is using pressure and certain pressure techniques on the feet and ankles, also on the face and hands, but that's a whole other piece I'll come to. And how does it work? I believe primarily it sedates the nervous system and it rebalances the endocrine system, which is what is so thrown off by stress. So it normalizes and rebalances all the effects that happen in the nervous system and the endocrine system also when we are stressed. And many people are in a permanent state of stress, the fight, flight, or freeze, and they do not reset fully to the rest and digest phase, which is, it's the coming down, the sympathetic, the parasympathetic nervous systems. So a lot of people are fizzing away under the surface, permanently unbalanced.
Yeah, absolutely. And I understand it to be a very ancient art. So, you know, it's been around thousands of years, hasn't it?
Well, you look at tomb paintings. There are tomb paintings from Egypt.
Yeah.
And someone has read the hieroglyphs, and there is a beautiful painting where there's obviously some kind of nobleman or king on a throne, and there is a person working on his feet and hands. And the man, the nobleman, is saying, "Please don't hurt me." And the person, the helper, is saying, "I shall work so you praise me," or something like that. So it's a therapeutic intervention to soothe, as I interpret it.
So that's a really good point. So I've had many instances of reflexology, and there can be moments where it is a little bit painful, but that's from the story that you've just said there, Siobhan, is for a particular reason, isn't it? It's because something needs to be unblocked or something.
We interpret that as an imbalance or a congestion. We are quite clear about the fact we're not diagnosing and curing and treating certain conditions. But what we are doing, as with Chinese medicine and acupuncture, for example, is we are detecting imbalance, congestion, something in the body or even in the person's emotional or mental realm is out of balance. We can't always say why that is. And we just trust and we intuitively work to release that imbalance. And sometimes people will feel, as you said, a sharp sensation, maybe a bruise sensation, an ache or a pain. And we work just to diffuse that and remove it. It's imagining like there's a stream, there's a great big boulder, and the water can't get around the boulder. So we want to break up the boulder and gently remove it naturally so that the stream can flow efficiently.
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it, actually. And but I 99% of the time just experience it as incredibly relaxing if you're with the right practitioner. So I have had different practitioners, and some people you just feel like you're waiting for the end of the hour because you've got things to do. But then other people, it feels like a healing experience. It really is. It is quite beautiful, isn't it?
It is very beautiful, and it's a very deep connection. Often we don't connect with people on a daily basis in a particularly deep or meaningful way, but it's like a contract. It's the intention I bring to the session as the therapist, and it's your own intention, what you want from the session. And it's just this coming together very energetically and very mindfully of these two people. And it can be stunning. It can be so beautiful. However, sometimes the therapist and the client, they're not going to gel because this is life. We're not always going to connect and have that meaningful connection. And sometimes it just means you haven't found the practitioner who is meant for you and who can serve you.
Okay. Right. So you mentioned hand and face. So it can be practiced also through the hands and the face?
Absolutely.
For the same end goal, or is it for different reasons?
So it's for the same end goal. I neglected to mention that we have a map of the body. We have the body mapped out on the hands, the feet, and the face. also the ears, but I don't do ear reflexology. So I can deliver a full reflexology treatment going through the whole of the person's system on their face. And I quite often do, this is a very popular treatment. And there's something about working in somebody's face, in the space of their face and their head, which is very, very special and very intimate. And it creates a deep, very deep, trusting relaxation and ability to let go, which I don't always see in clients when I'm working on their feet.
Interesting.
So it has a slightly different dynamic about it, I would say.
And I'm just thinking, because the other thing I like is Indian head massage, because I'm always in my head, and you know, which is great for my work, but not great every minute of every waking hour. And so Indian head massage for me is a great way to kind of, I don't know, recalibrate or something. Would facial reflexology have that same effect, getting you out of your head? Does that make sense?
That's a really good question. I haven't considered it like that. And yet here we are with the crown chakra, the third eye, the throat chakra of a person. And this is very interesting. And I'm wondering if this is why I, as a client, get so much from this therapy, because I've had a photo done of my aura. I don't know if you subscribe to this.
Yeah.
And all the energy was up here.
Yeah, me too.
And I have to do a lot of grounding work to pull myself down into all my energy centers. So maybe in some sense, that's really interesting. I'm going to think about that, Tricia.
Yeah,
I'm going to take that away.
Yeah, it kind of makes sense to me. Not that I'm the knower of all things, but it just kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
So I love that.
That's experiment really, with the idea of it.
I'm going to go and journal with that. That's really really caught my imagination.
You're welcome.
Thank you for
that. And you've got a neat technique. You said 30 seconds. You must share. I don't know what this is. So you have to share.
Well, this is very, very attractive for everybody who is running around doing and not so much being. And this is a lovely opportunity to take a mindful moment and to settle into your chair and settle into your environment, become very present. And we are working here. So from between the eyebrows up to the hairline, in face reflexology, we are working on the spine. So just imagine that somebody is just doing an effleurage on your spine and how amazing that feels. So I'm just going to pop my glasses there, pop them off. So we can just, and you can do this, you can time it with your inhale and your exhale.
Wow. And is it important, Siobhan, for you to imagine that somebody is doing that to your back at the same time? Or it gives you the feeling of somebody doing that to your back at the same time?
I think it's a great opportunity. You can think about that, absolutely. Or it's just a great opportunity to feel like a flow, as one takes over from the other. I think it creates a very mindful sort of flow state. And it slows down the world. And it slows us down, and it just creates a little lovely therapeutic pause.
Yeah. Self-therapy. 30 seconds.
Yes, you can do it 30 seconds, you can do it for a minute. Obviously, if you're doing that, that's not really going to be,
no,
because you do have to bring an intention to it, I would say.
Brilliant.
You can do this to dogs.
Really?
cats,
I have one right here.
children.
Try. No.
My dogs love this.
Oh,
Love
really?
this. It's the spine. It's the same. We all have a spine. We all have nerves. We all have a brain. This wonderful nervous system. Now, I do this to my dogs. You will see people doing this with a baby. How often do you see somebody holding a baby and what are they doing? They're doing this.
Wow.
It's instinctive.
Isn't it interesting? We
Yeah.
kind of know things without knowing
We
that we know
know.
things.
And babies know things. When babies are teething and hurting, very often they will self-soothe by holding their ears and pulling and massaging their ears.
So that's
Because
another
that's
form
going
of
to help them.
reflexology. Yeah.
They've got their own wisdom. They know.
Yeah, interesting. Thank you so much. I
Mm.
shall give that a go on me and also
Let
the
me
dog.
know.
He will be very grateful,
Let
I'm
me
sure.
know, yes. I want to know if he likes it.
He's lying here, so I'm looking around because he's just lying here quite peacefully.
Oh,
Okay, so
good.
thank you very much. So at this point, I always ask my guests if there is a book that they've read that they found inspiring or helpful that they think might also help other people as well. And I think you've got one in mind, haven't you?
I have got my absolutely beautiful book called Miracles Now. And it is 108 daily lessons. They're little snippets. So if anyone does a morning routine, which I do, I don't know if you do, I do some journaling, reading, meditation to set me up for my day. So these are 108 little lessons. You can get this as an audio. This is a teacher called Gabby Bernstein, and it's based on the book A Course in Miracles.
Yeah, I've read the whole of that book.
Oh, have you?
It took me a whole year.
Respect. Oh my gosh.
No, just so that people know, it is supposed to be you read something every single day, and I did it for a whole year. So I've heard of her. I think I've read one of her books actually. But it's so the Course in Miracles is like a psychology, personal psychology, isn't it? But it's all about God. So if you're not into that, then people would struggle with it a little bit. But I think you can. So. I don't think you have to believe in God to benefit from these things. I think the intent of what it's telling you can be massively helpful as well.
I do think so, and I think you can remove the God from it and give it your own meaning if you have the divine or the source or a word you use. If you have a spiritual life, you can absolutely.
When I work with clients, sometimes where we're doing work that might involve that, grace is a good word to use.
Beautiful word.
Yeah, because it's kind of not saying any belief of anything at all, but just about grace. So, having the grace to that kind of thing. So that can work, or nature or something.
I love grace. I think it's one of the highest.
Yeah.
It's the highest emotions or states of being. It's just absolutely glorious.
Yeah.
Yeah, it shines.
I aspire to that. So friends that know me will be thinking, Grace, really?
Me too. It's my gold standard.
I don't get it right all the time, but I do get it right often, just not in front of my friends. That's all.
And you give yourself grace. I always say to my clients, give yourself grace.
Absolutely.
Cut yourself some slack.
Yeah.
I am enough, going back to affirmations and just affirming that you're doing your best is.
Yeah. Because everybody is, even though people might do terrible things, they're not doing terrible things to be terrible, but because that's the best way they know how to cope with what's going on. I do wish they would see a professional for help though, so it doesn't damage other people. But anyway, that's where we are. Yeah. Okay, thank you ever so much. So what I'm going to do, everyone, is put Siobhan's details in case you want to get in touch with her. I think you've got a series of videos, or you do little workshops.
I have. I could give you some resources, Tricia, for everybody if they'd like that.
Brilliant. That's really helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank
I hope that you've enjoyed it. And if you have, or perhaps if you've got your own techniques or experience of reflexology, do make some notes below so that you can share with everyone else. And if you've enjoyed it, please like, comment and share. And if you haven't signed up already, please do that too. Thanks very much. Take care.